What is up, guys? Taiki here, and I Canto believe it. Canto is currently trading at 41 cents, and in this video, I'll talk about where I think Canto goes from here. So if you like the content, please like and subscribe, and check out the premium Discord. Link will be in the description below. I'm actually visiting California to see friends and family, so that's why my background looks like this. This is where I grew up. So sorry if my audio and visual quality is a little bit lower in quality, but I don't think people care, right? If you're watching this video, I mean, this is part 10 of the Canto Thesis. This is a playlist, right? Part 9 doesn't even fit the screen. You have to scroll down. So I don't even know who's watching these videos. Raise your hands, right? I'll give everyone a cookie if you actually watched all part 1 through part 9. Maybe I'll buy you a beer or something. But let's actually talk about the Canto Thesis. So I laid this out in part 1 back in September when Canto was trading at 14. It's a culmination of this real-world asset thesis that I have. But let me just tell you a story. So I've been in DeFi for over 3 years, and I'm a natural optimist. I want to see DeFi work, and I want to see crypto-native applications actually create value and have millions and billions of people adopt it. And in the past 2 years, during the bear market, I've continuously looked for DeFi projects that can do this on-chain natively. So for example, GMX, GLP, etc. But unfortunately, I realized that crypto applications just aren't good enough when the risk-free rate is at 5%. I even argue that if the risk-free rate is at 4%, I still think most crypto applications just cannot compete, okay? And I realized that there's no reason for people to deploy money on-chain when they can earn these pretty safe yields, just going to Fidelity, and you don't have to worry about private keys and getting rugged and whatnot. So the natural conclusion I reached was that for DeFi to survive, either in a low rate or high rate environment, we have to import TradFi yields from off-chain to on-chain. And that actually is going to create a wealth effect, right? Because if people just hold UST bills, like naturally their USD balance is going to go up. And if we can import USD balances, that increase on-chain, then that's actually going to create a wealth effect across DeFi, and it can actually end the DeFi bear market and actually start a new DeFi bull market. This has been my thesis. And the original thesis was around Maker. So Maker, I know people don't like it, but I've been long Maker for basically 5 to 6 months now, since July. But I understand people don't like it. Maker looks really bullish, right? Higher highs, higher lows. I think it's gonna hit new local highs. You look at makerburn.com, they're making a bunch of money. They're buying back $20,000 of their token every 2 hours. Where does the money come from? Well, they own $3 billion worth of UST bills, and as long as the system surplus is over 50 million, it's going to buy back its own token. So you can kind of see that, money just continuously enter the chain. The Coinbase vault, once a month, they return $1 million. Block Tower, they just return a bunch of money. Clydesdale vault, basically, every couple of weeks, they're going to return millions of dollars on chain, and it's going to go into buybacks. And, if you look at the DAI supply, historically, it's bottomed out. It's been flat, which is kind of hard. For the Maker Thesis to work, it kind of has to keep going up. But if you look at the revenue numbers, let's take this here. Maker revenues is at all-time highs. Profits, not so much. But I expect that by sometime mid-2024, I would expect DAI supply to be approaching 10 billion, and I would expect their Maker profits to be around 150 to 200 million because of the endgame catalyst. And I'll make a separate video on this because I keep talking about the endgame catalyst, but no one understands it, which I think is good, right? For my sake, because people will eventually have to find out. But that's the idea. And if Maker runs, then I think that people will naturally catch on to the fact that real-world assets are bullish, and things like Canto can also do well. I have no idea how to value Canto, to be honest. I put out this tweet. This is I actually have no idea. Okay, I have no idea how to value these L1s. But we all know about Blast, right? The L2, backed but not endorsed by Paradigm with native yield, and according to some OTC markets, it's trading at $2.5 billion FDV. And of course, I'm not comparing apples to apples, but it's similar, right? Canto is trying to become the RWA chain, and Blast, as part of their value proposition, is trying to bridge off-chain yields on-chain and then create an entire DeFi and NFT ecosystem around it. And Blast has a bunch of VCs. They have a bunch of angel crypto Twitter influencer investors, and people don't like it for that reason. But Canto, they don't have any VCs. It was kind of a fair launch. I mean, it's a long story, but it's trading at roughly a $400 million FDV. So it's the people's chain basically, right? Like if the bull case actually pans out, it could be the people's chain. The team does own a bunch of tokens and whatnot, but I mean that's like nothing in crypto is perfect. Say, for example, I mean, this is an L1 that's designed for trading. It's trading at $400 million market cap, $2.4 billion FDV, and it has 3 million in TVL. So how do we value L1s and L2s? I think the market just prices these things at absurd valuations. Part of the reason is because most of the token is held by the team, so they're just gonna hold on to it. If they were rational actors, maybe they'll like just market dump. But they're just gonna keep it in the treasury and then just like hopefully it pumps later and they can give out grants and something. So the thesis around Canto is that I think more and more attention is gonna shift towards RWAs. The sentiment around Canto is pretty negative, and I think that's for a good reason. If you look at the Q1 pump where it went from 8 cents to 73 cents or whatever, like 8 or 9x, it was mostly led by influencer pump and dumps. Okay, we all know the people that did it. I did not participate because I did not understand it, but influencers pumped this thing. It was basically a ghost chain, and then it dumped. So I think a lot of people, their memories of Canto was what happened in Q1. And if they didn't pivot to RWAs, I think I would never touch this thing. But given my entire thesis around RWAs, it set up a really good it was a really good trading opportunity because first of all, like no one owns this thing, everyone hates it, and no one's looking at it. So if I can identify the fact that okay, like they're actually going to pivot to RWAs, I think RWA is going to be really bullish. Then I think the risk reward is good. And look, I don't know what's going to happen to the price. Okay, I don't work for the team. I'm not being paid by anyone. Okay, like I don't run ads on my channel. Okay, like my revenue is zero. I don't do paid chills. I don't do angel investing. I literally just look at the private markets and look for opportunities. So sometimes I'll be right, sometimes I'll be wrong. But the idea is that, hey, like we're all like working on equal grounds here. And I'm just posting these videos for free. And hopefully, you can kind of, make up your own decisions. And, hopefully, somewhere along the line, it kind of made sense right from part 1 to part 10. So this is part 10. And, RWAs, really good business model. For example, USDC and USDT, their business model is you give them money, they take that money, buy T-bills, and you get no yield. Okay, Circle like raised $400 million from BlackRock. Tether makes $1 billion in profits every quarter, and Maker is the only permissionless way for the public markets to gain access to the very profitable stablecoin issuer market. I mean, look at this, right? I mean, there's just like buying back the token every 2 hours. So it's kind of like investing in Tether and Circle in the public markets. It's not perfect, but that's kind of it. And Canto wants to be a part of this as well. They're partnering with RWA issuers like Hashnote, Fortunify, and there's this new lending market, and they're actually like getting like these people like Fortunify, High Yield, Hashnote, Anzen, like they're actually like well-backed companies focused on RWAs, and they're issuing RWAs on Canto first instead of like other chains, or actually they're all issuing RWAs on Ethereum mainnet and Canto first, generally. So they're actually trying, right? They're actually shipping, they're actually talking to these teams, they're actually setting up the infrastructure to allow these things to happen. And I guess the actual bull case is centered around the carry trade. So if you go to the Canto dashboard right now, the bar rate for Note, which is their stablecoin backed by T-bills, is at 4.4%. So if the risk-free rate is at 5%, let's say, I can use T-bills as collateral, borrow Note at 4.4, convert it into USDC, and then just kind of like loop that trade. And of course, this isn't perfect because there has to be enough liquidity to facilitate this trade. And if Note trades below $1, then the interest rate will slowly creep up. So it's not perfect, and I'm not really sure how scalable this carry trade is, but I think what's more scalable is this strategy around like other RWAs. For example, I think Fortunify and like Anzen, they're gonna start listing corporate credit. So it's gonna have some duration risk, it's gonna have some price risk, but it's gonna pay a yield of like roughly 6 to 8%, like natively. And it's like Vanguard Corporate Credit Index, right? I mean, you can literally buy this on Fidelity. It's like one of the safest things you can buy. I mean, nothing is like risk free, but I feel like a Vanguard Corporate Credit ETF is safer than trying to farm some random degen farm on chain for 10% APY, right? Like let's be real with ourselves. And what you'll be able to do, and I actually KYC'd for this, is you can use something like a Vanguard Corporate Index as collateral, borrow note below whatever the rate is, and then like do the carry trade. So you can lever up the Vanguard Corporate Credit ETF like 10x and get like 25%, like 30% APY, or like whatever the net number ends up being. So that's kind of the idea. And if you look at the TVL, it hasn't really done anything. I mean, it is grinding up, but maybe it's just because price is grinding up. And like when I first laid this out back in September, I was like, okay, like I want to see TVL hit all-time highs, and like by end of year. I mean, I'm not like really like rigid when it comes to that. But it's more like, okay, like the trajectory of TVL should be like approaching all-time highs by end of year. So if by end of year TVL is at like 130 and like the trend is like up, then yeah, like that's fine. Okay, like I'm not super rigid when it comes to these things. And look, these things take a lot of time, right? When it comes to forking meme coins, developers can do that in like 10 hours. But when it comes to actually like taking in money, going through the KYC process, minting these assets on chain, it takes time, right? But if you actually look at let's see here. If you look at the categories on DeFi Llama, you see that right now RWA is number 6 at like let's say $6 billion. I think if you expect DeFi to hit all-time highs in TVL, like I expect RWAs to probably be number 1 in TVL actually. But I mean, there's a lot of double counting here, right? So like some RWA assets are in lending protocols, so like how do you actually calculate these things? It's impossible. But just from like a general like story, like narrative perspective, if you expect, I mean, previous all-time high was like 140 or like 200, like, let's say 200 billion. Okay, how does DeFi get to let's say 500 billion TVL? It's gonna have to come from stablecoin inflows, and a lot of people just assume that okay, like the Fed will cut rates to 0 and then people will buy meme coins and then TVL will go up. I mean, that could happen, but I think that's a pretty low probability scenario. I mean, even right now, I mean, this CME Fed Watch tool isn't perfect, but by end of year next year, in 12 months, the Fed funds rates is going to be roughly around 4%, let's say. Can DeFi still compete? Yeah, I mean, they'll have a better chance, but, it's still, 4% is still pretty attractive relative to, like, randomly, like, farming random shit on chain. And I've heard the bear case for RWA is that, okay, like, well, the rate's going to go to 0, or like the Fed is going to cut rates 100 basis points. It's going to mean that like RWAs make less money. That's true. But that is only true if rates go down and the stablecoin TVL remains flat, right? But what if rates go down 100 basis points, and then stablecoin TVL doubles? Well, it's simply a math equation, right? Because Maker, like the money that they make, I mean, it's a lot more complex than this, but Maker will make more money if their DAI supply is at 10 billion and the risk rate is at 4% than if the DAI supply is at 5 billion and the rate is at 5%, right? I mean, you can like just do the math yourself. So it's more around TVL growth, and the idea is that I think I have it here. Yeah. So a lot of crypto natives hate RWAs, and they dismiss it as vaporware, but all of them use stablecoins, and stablecoins are real-world assets. And my thesis is that the demand for stablecoins will continue to go up. However, over time, people will begin to demand yield on their stablecoins instead of letting Circle and Tether keep all the profits from US T-bills. Yield-bearing dollars to vampire tech USDC. That's a thesis. Okay? Like, if you expect stablecoin market cap to go up from here, I believe that the percent market share of real-world assets are just going to go up only, okay? I don't really know what the actual number is right now, and my home internet is very laggy, so I apologize. But, the point is, if you look at the market cap chart here, I mean, I would expect this trend to just continue going down, right? Like, why are people letting, like, Coinbase and Circle just keep all the profits? Like, at least just get some of it, right? I mean, of course, USDC is safe. It's more Lindy, trusted, and whatnot. But it's just the general idea that I wanted to lay out here. But okay, then there's also like the bear case around, okay, like, well, what if the regulatory regime like bans it or something, right? It's like, okay, like USDT, USDC, you're bad, you're out of here. DAI, you're bad, you're out of here. Oh, like your blockchain project issuing Vanguard ETFs, like get out of here. I'm banning you, right? And that's kind of like the bear case. But this is also like the ultimate bull case for crypto right now, or according to this report done by Nick Carter, stablecoins, they're actually the 16th largest holder of U.S. Treasuries. So if crypto grows in market size, right, this number should go up. Like at some point, stablecoins will be the top 10 holder of U.S. Treasuries or like U.S. debt. At some point, it'll be top 5 holder of U.S. debt. And if that happens, I think stablecoins become too big to fail. And I think that's how crypto and DeFi becomes anti-fragile. So that's kind of the idea. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. And my entire thesis is that I expect RWAs to grow. I think it's severely underappreciated by the market participants that are currently in the space. Okay, I think the future market participants will actually appreciate it, but the current market participants underappreciate it. So like that's my edge. Okay, or that's our edge, right? If you were watching these videos, and I mean, okay, let's just like use like fake numbers here, but let's say the stablecoin market cap is like 100 billion, and right now the percent share of our is like, let's say 6%, right? Like roughly. If stablecoin market gets to 1 trillion, let's say, what percent share of the stablecoin market cap is going to be in RWAs? Like yield bearing, right? I mean, because technically everything is like, is 100% of RWAs, but like, yield bearing stuff. I would say, I mean, definitely more than 6%, right? Like maybe 30, maybe 40, maybe even 80%. I actually don't know. But the point is, more and more capital should flow to RWAs, right? And no, there's a lot of competitors. You go to this tab. Number one's Maker, right? They own a bunch. There's a bunch of money on Tron. There's Ondo Finance, etc. And at the end of the day, all these products are commodities, so there's not that much of a moat. And I think Canto's moat is that they're issuing new types of RWAs. It hasn't happened yet, unfortunately. So it's really hard for me to say like, okay, like it's gonna happen. Like all I can say is that, hey, like I've been saying this, like it's gonna happen at some point. But like I'm not like fully 100% convinced that like we're gonna like go up from here. I'm like, okay, like Canto's really cheap. If they actually execute, it could be huge. So from a risk reward perspective, like I think it makes sense to buy, right? And this was like 2 months ago, but right now, to be honest, I have no idea because TVL hasn't really grown that much. I mentioned it earlier, and then Canto keeps going up. Like, I actually don't know. So, in order for Canto to actually fulfill its mission and hit all-time highs, sure, it can just do it on hype alone. But if it just goes up because of hype, it's gonna like just retrace, right? They actually have to execute. But I'm willing to be patient on this one, and I think through my videos, I've made that pretty clear. The other potential catalyst, and don't ask me on this because I actually don't know, but they're gonna like launch some new NFT update like this month allegedly, and then they're also gonna issue music NFTs in January. I actually have no idea if it's gonna work or not. My entire CANTO thesis is around RWAs, so I mean this is gonna be just cherry on top. I have zero expectations. And I think that's the best way to view it. I think, like, if you're buying Canto for music NFTs, like, you're probably in it for like the wrong reasons. But maybe it's a cherry on top. That's kind of how I view it. And yeah, that's kind of the thesis. I'm bullish Maker. I'm bullish Canto. And if you want to read some research reports that I put out, this is all free, by the way. In the Substack, check it out. A lot of my research is focused on RWAs because I just think that it's a severely underappreciated sector in crypto, and how you make money is by being contrarian and being right. It's easy to be contrarian, but it's hard to be right. And I'm not saying I'm right. I could be wrong on this one. I just try to think in probabilities. But anyways, if you like more content, premium content, check out the Premier Discord. Link will be in the description below. And I think that's it for me. I don't know how long this video is. Let me check. Okay, 20 minutes. That's pretty good for a Taiki video. I think I'm getting better at this YouTube thing. And also, right? I mean, this is pretty crazy. I mean, so I showed this earlier, but like, so this is my net subscriber count. And in the past year, right? Like every time I upload a video, like I lose subscribers because people don't like crypto. But recently, I mean, I'm gaining subscribers, and like I'm actually shocked by this. Like, I've been in pain so long that like I just forgot what this felt like. You know, like I think you go here, and I think it. Wait a minute. Wait. Yeah, like plus 262 in the last 28 days. That's crazy. But anyways, I think I'll wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna just keep making these videos every single week. In fact, I think I'm addicted. Okay, like I think I have a problem. So if you have a therapist, you know, just let me know, because yeah, like I think I have a problem. I'm gonna go to like a Canto anonymous meeting after this. You know, like these meetings, it's like only 3 people, right? But maybe if Canto works, it'll be like 20 people, as people become more and more addicted to these weekly Canto videos. I can't live without them. Can't live without them. So thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Bye bye.